next is Andrew Oosting.
That's right, yes.
Pronunciation. Andrew is a second-year Master's of Science in Water Resource Engineering at the School of Engineering here at the University of Guelph. And he has completed the Water Resource Engineering undergraduate program here as well, and has interests that span many water resource aspects: water conservation and reuse, urban stormwater design, watershed management, and policies related to wetlands and rural areas. And his current research is the development of a model which assesses the risk of on-site wastewater systems, groundwater, and surface water on a regular basis within southern Ontario. And throughout his schooling here, he's pleased to share his experiences on how the engineering program integrates with many different disciplines to enhance their role as engineers.
Such a nice sentence. I'm going to step it up. I need to stand up and talk. So, because I'll be sitting for the next hours. And I know one of us will be also standing up and talking. So engineering and interdisciplinarity. That word is such a hard word to say. I'm going to trip over it every time I say it here. It's really interesting at Guelph how interdisciplinarity works here in the School of Engineering, at least. We're always told as engineers that we are an interdisciplinary school. We are an interdisciplinary School of Engineering itself. And that's because there's 4 different types of engineering that we have here. There's water resource engineering, there's biological engineering, there's computer engineering, or M.A.Sc, whatever that stands for, I'm not sure, but computer engineering nevertheless, and then environmental engineering. And these are 4 different streams that all work together. There's many design projects that we work on, and well, it's not uncommon to have a biological engineer, a computer engineer, a water resource engineer, any of the mix working together. And that itself brings a flair of interdisciplinarity to it, because I may not know everything there is to know about computer circuitry or a certain aspect of air pollution, but I need to know how these concepts work. So in an engineering standpoint, I need to know why do they think the way they do, and why is it important for these issues to be addressed. So it is interesting that in engineering sense, we are interdisciplinary. That's what they like to make us think as well. But at the same time, are we interdisciplinary on another level? Are we interdisciplinary with other disciplines? As in, what about the sciences? What about the physics? What about the arts? What about other aspects of our university life here? We're encouraged as engineers to take courses outside our discipline so that we get that world view. We're always kind of told, you have to be normal. You have to. You're always told to put on your engineering hat or to put on, your another aspect that you're supposed to know. You're supposed to go into another course and appreciate what people are doing, but not be territorial about what our views are. It happens all the time that you just take a course. As Michelle was saying, a course is a good way to introduce you to a new topic. But I feel that so many times you have to go a step beyond that. I've taken many courses outside of engineering, and I'm glad to that. There's many people that haven't, but it's a chance that I feel that they're missing. And when you take a course outside of engineering, and for instance, I'll give an example of taking a history course. I take a history course as a student. I don't take it, I'm kind of like an outsider looking in. We need to have a different type of mindset when we come into it. If I work with someone on a project that is in the history department or within that class that is in a history, that has that history mindset, then I can understand things so much better. If I just take the class, I can appreciate it, that's great, but I need to actually delve a little deeper. And I find that sometimes that's what's lacking, is that some disciplines here, they say, well, you can just take a first and second year course. Great starters, but they're not great for trying to get you to understand the whole concept of what that discipline is. Because there's so much, to scratch the surface, but there's so much more just to expose what those feelings that those people are trying to embody in their project. And that's when I come back to the real world, because I've had many work experiences where you try to have an interdisciplinary project, but it doesn't mean that there's interdisciplinary people working on it. I think that's a big issue that we have, is that projects can be interdisciplinary, but the people working on them may not be, okay? Because I've worked with planners, different types of engineers, maintenance crews, financial people, like a whole plethora of people that are working on this project. But all our other opinions are voiced, and everybody's issues can be addressed. But do I understand on an inherent level what the maintenance people are doing? Do I understand why the city planners are making the decisions they are doing? When I go back to the drawing board and I start to make up a stormwater management plan, and do I understand why are certain people thinking the way they do? I need to understand. I need to have a little bit of a respect and a knowledge of why certain things are, so that I can plan things better. But at the same time, it can be very difficult, right? I don't have that same mind frame as someone else. So that's where I kind of teetered off my notes, because I don't know what's the next step for that. I don't want to go to school to get a planning degree so that I can be better person to design it a lot easier. But because there's people that have gone through the planning degree before, how do I integrate those two things? How do I make that interdisciplinary? So, I guess my own statement or whatever, it's interesting to see that in a particular discipline like engineering, it can be touted as interdisciplinary amongst the different types of engineering. But how do we try to expand that beyond what our own discipline is? And discipline, again, is such a hard term to describe. So,
Thanks, Colin.
No, I'm Colin. That's it.
I'll take the comment.
I was thinking ahead.